And we're live with part 2 of Awesome Hardware episode 30. If you guys are just watching us on YouTube right now, this is the rebroadcast, I should say, and you would like to see us live, go ahead and check us out at www.twitch.tv/awesomehardware. We stream every Tuesday evening at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. And, hey. So why don't we just continue off with some announcements here. First off, go ahead and buy some merch from Paul's store, Paul's Hardware, right? Store.paulshardware.net. Go ahead and check it out. He's got shirts, he's got mugs, he's got glasses. He's drinking out of this one right now. He's got a lot of good stuff there. So
lovely.
Go ahead and pick up something. You will get a prompt Johnson shout out from Paul during the stream if you happen to buy something within the next hour or so.
Indeed.
As for my store, it is temporarily down, unfortunately. Long story behind that, but it will be back up in a day or two, so be patient, please. I do have a new shirt design coming very soon. Probably as soon as the site's back up, you'll be able to purchase that yourself. So.
Oh, crap.
What?
We completely forgot to ask on my half of the show that question we were going to ask. Did we even we never made a straw poll for it, did we? I'll make it right now. Do you remember what we were asking, Kyle?
If they think we're a couple?
You talking about a new shirt was what reminded me. New shirt?
Oh, new shirts. Yes. Yes. Okay. Yes, go ahead. So while Paul does this little straw poll really quick to get your guys' feedback on something that's very important and pressing, also another big announcement is that we will be doing an after party tonight as usual. This is going to be a little bit different though, guys. It's going to be a little special, all right? Hear me out on this. Now, generally speaking, when we have a show like this, we both go back to our respective homes, we have some dinner, and then we play games at our separate computers, and we voice chat and all that sort of thing. But today, we're actually going to be trying something new. Paul's actually going to stay here at my place probably for the next hour or two after the show, and we're actually going to be playing a local co-op game on Steam later tonight.
I'm excited.
So we will be. So you'll see both of us on webcam together, just like we are now. It's going to be very special.
Guys, I'm making a straw poll right now, so you guys can vote on what color you want us to make an Awesome Hardware shirt, because that's really all we need to decide right now is what colors. I kind of want. Should we just do one? Maybe we should just start with one.
Start with one, and then
maybe more in the future, right? So, popular colors: black, dark gray, and dark blue.
Right.
I think are the most popular colors. So,
yeah.
Anyone in chat right now who wants other colors than that, like holler.
Yeah.
Can you think of any other colors? I don't know what else.
Those are usually the ones that I feel sell the best.
We'll do heather, which is light gray.
Heather. That's not in reference to my wife, by the way.
Do it heather colored.
Not one a Kyle's wife shirt.
The heather ones are the ones they do. They usually cost a couple bucks more, but it's a different.
It's like a tri-blend, right?
Yeah, it's like a tri-blend of cotton, so
they're
even
very
more
comfortable too.
Yeah, they're really nice.
More softer.
Yeah, they're even more software. Neon pink, orange, gray, purple. All right, purple. Everyone wants purple, pink, and yellow.
What? I think they're just getting influenced or brainwashed by the hypnotizing wallpaper on my desktop.
You're right.
But never mind that. So yes, please stay tuned for the after party tonight. It's going to be very fun. In case you're wondering what game we're going to be playing, I'm not going to reveal that until the end of this episode, just to be super cryptic and mysterious.
Let's just do a Rainbow Kappa shirt.
Rainbow Kappa, for sure. So why don't we get started on the tech news, since we're already almost approaching 7 o'clock p.m. now.
Let me create this.
What? Oh, okay.
All right, guys, I'm going to post this in chat.
Paul's posting the straw poll.
We'll come back to it later on.
Do it! Do it now! Just do it! All right, so let's talk about news.
I'm all over this, Kyle. I swear,
just waiting on Paul. All right.
Swear to God.
You've got the lower thirds.
News.
I know you do. I know it's right there.
Yay! News.
Hey, news. All right.
Okay.
First story. Nvidia Shield. Some of you may have heard. Their Pro Android TV has been recalled. I'm sorry, has been recalled. I
when was it
pronounced
recalled?
that strange. Shut up.
I don't recall.
So it has been recalled due to a hard drive issue. Not every single unit has been affected by this, a very small portion, but still, nonetheless, if you are a proud Shield Pro Android TV user, you might be subject to an RMA.
Oh.
So, first off, I wanted to say, didn't Shield just have a recall with their Shield tablet, I believe?
Yes,
the batteries being a fire hazard, and now this. So this doesn't look terribly all that good for Nvidia. But what is up with this hard drive issue here? So essentially, well, first off, we have a straw poll. You want to put that in chat as well. You guys have a lot of straw polls in my half of the show.
You're right, Kyle.
Because basically what happened was Paul took all the good stories, because he woke up super early this morning and just started, like, creating the show doc.
8
and by the time I
that's
logged
crazy
in,
early.
all the good stories have been taken. He's like, have fun, Kyle. Good luck on today's half of the show, bro. And I was like, oh. So basically, what better way to spice up a news story than with a straw poll survey?
I also took my remainder stories, the leftovers, my sloppy seconds, and I was like, here,
Yeah.
Kyle.
Yeah, thanks for that.
You can use these stories. I'm all through with them.
It seems like he's trying to be nice. He's like, oh, I found all these cool stories for you. Really, it's like, oh, these are just the reject ones I didn't get to in time because I already took all the good stuff. But that's okay, because my half of the show is still going to be better.
That's right, as long as we're wasted.
So this straw poll I thought was kind of fun. It's just for the lulz, more or less. It's what will most certainly cause the next big Nvidia recall. And I've got some ridiculous choices for you guys to choose from. Go ahead and choose one. One is some GTX 980 Ti's will be exposed to only have 5.5 gigs of VRAM.
It's harsh.
Sounds familiar?
Too soon, Kyle.
Too soon.
Too soon.
A select few Shield controllers will only work on iPads. Okay, fair enough. 1 out of 5 Quadro cards will explode upon launching Minesweeper.
I always thought that was just a built-in feature anyway.
They're really not good for gaming. Maxwell GPUs, and lastly, Maxwell GPUs will falsely advertise support for async compute. Oh wait, that already happened.
Oh.
So go ahead and let us know what you guys think is going to cause the next big Nvidia recall.
Kyle's clearly got his
It's serious.
AMD fanboy hat on today.
No. I give both. I give everyone.
Right.
If anyone watches my channel, you know I give everyone a hard time.
We give equal
But it's all out of
crap
love.
to both sides.
It's all out of love.
All right.
So basically, what's up with this hard drive issue that is going on with the Pro Android TV via Shield and Nvidia? So basically, if you try to update to the latest 1.4 patch, you will get an error message. Some people will get an error message saying the device's failure to properly update during a system upgrade. Not good. So you basically can't take advantage of all those future upgrades. If you are considering trying to bypass that particular upgrade, don't be so quick to it, because future upgrades will also receive the same error. So at that point, you should just RMA the unit, get a new one that doesn't have a bunk hard drive, and problem solved. Also, you might get an issue that says something like, or pop-up that says hard drive issue. Also might experience severe and persistent pixelation in all tiles of the top row of the Android TV home screen. So you actually might get a visual artifact on your home screen as well.
I could live with that.
I mean, I guess it's kind of annoying though if you're looking at it every day. It's
Right,
just like,
that would suck.
Nvidia has also claimed that hard drive issues can worsen over time if you don't RMA your system. So it's not something that is just, well, I'm cool with it now. You know, I'm just gonna leave it as is. It could get worse. So please RMA your systems if you are subject to any of these symptoms. So that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and take a look at the straw poll.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Straw poll.
Because I am very curious to see what the next recall will be caused by. Okay.
It's already happened, Kyle.
It's as I expected.
It's already happened.
It's already happened. Of course, the truth wins.
What's going on with
The
my
truth
mouse?
always prevails.
Yes.
But
But the 5.5 gig VRAM is the second,
Yes.
close second there.
Absolutely. All right, brilliant. Let's move on to the next story, which is the Steam controller. There was a little bit more information revealed at PAX East this year. It was at the Alienware booth. So at first, I didn't know why there was such little PAX Prime, sorry. Such little coverage on the Steam controller, and then once I found out that they were really being showcased at the Alienware booth, it all made sense. Of course.
I only walked past the Alienware booth.
Didn't see any Steam controllers.
If I had known the Steam controller was there, I would have gone.
I feel like that was their main feature, like that everyone would have been interested in,
Yeah.
over their actual hardware, or overly priced laptops. Anyway, so there was an interview conducted with this dude who was like, "Yeah, and let's show you some shit on this controller here." Basically, the main feature of this controller is that it's got these two touchpads that feature haptic feedback. Each touchpad can be virtualized essentially via software, so you can actually determine or decide whether you want the trackpads to function as a joystick or a trackball or a mouse, etc., which is kind of cool. It gives you a little bit more flexibility instead of just being limited to a joystick. Of course, it's still I'm still kind of on the fence as to whether or not this is actually going to flop, or if this is going to be like the next big thing is touchpads instead of joysticks. I really don't know how it's going to perform in the long run, but nonetheless, Steam seems pretty confident about it, or I should say Valve seems very confident with it. It's also got fully customizable trackpad and button mapping, so just like you can map the different functions of your keyboard in game, you can do the same with this controller. Let's say you want your right.
Can I show you this?
What is this? Steam controller. Please verify your shipping address. You've pre-ordered it.
Yes.
Yes. So Paul has already. I almost called you Steve. Paul, because Steve and Steam.
That's a Steve thing.
Total correlation there. But Paul
controller.
has already gone ahead and pre-ordered his Steam controller, which releases November 10th for about $50. If you haven't paid for it already,
They're sold out.
they're sold out. Completely sold out. Can't get them until November 10th, of course. So I think I also have a straw poll here. Will you be picking up a Steam controller yourselves? I'm very curious to know.
Not me.
Except for Paul, because he's already got one, or he's already ordered one. If you guys are interested in this at all, or if you're kind of like me, where I'm on the fence. I already have an Xbox 360 controller. Obviously, it's like super dated, and it's been around for a while.
Oh, Steve's in chat, by the way. Hi, Steve.
Steve's in chat. I totally knew that. Hey, we're talking about you, brother.
That's perfect.
We're talking about you.
See? Whenever you say Steve's name, he appears.
Oh. Exhibit A. He's like a ghoul or a ghost. Anyway, so yeah, there's just a lot of interesting stuff about this controller. Also, the haptic feedback on the touchpads helps you keep your bearing. So if you veer to the far right, or the far left, or to the edge of the the trackpad, you'll actually get this haptic feedback that lets you know exactly where your thumb's placed. And then let's say you're using the left trackpad, which is generally your movement, right? If you pull it all the way to the far edge, it will continue spinning in that direction. So it's a little bit flexible there. You've also got these two grip buttons, which I thought were kind of interesting. They're actually where your other three, usually the unused fingers on your hands when you're using a controller are. So right behind the actual grips of the controller itself are these two kind of trigger buttons, which can be used for things like reloading if you're in a first-person shooter. And I guess that kind of comes in handy because if you think about a controller, when you're using a controller in a first-person shooter, Paul, and you've got those two joysticks, right? One for movement and one for view.
I hate that.
I hate that when you actually have to reload your gun, you have to like lift your thumb off of the right joystick, the view joystick, and press like X or something to reload. So you're actually losing valuable time in a fast-paced first-person shooter by lifting your thumb off of that joystick. This controller aims to solve that by having the grip or the reload button actually where your these three less important fingers are, generally right behind.
I hate those fingers.
So that way you can actually have your thumb on the joysticks, or the trackpads, I should say, at all times, which is an interesting thought. Another cool feature is the triggers. The triggers usually that fire things. Generally speaking, we see very frequently that the left trigger on a controller will aim, where you look down your iron sights or your scope, and then the right trigger is used for shooting. So you've got these two independent functions, correct? But the Steam controller takes a different approach in that you actually have an end. You actually have a click functionality at the very end of your pull. So as you're pulling the trigger down, you're aiming, but then there's a little bit extra that you can pull where it clicks, and that'll fire your gun.
You bottom it out and
bottom it out, exactly.
It's like a focus thingy on a.
Yes, precisely. Sweet. So for $50, you can pick it up on November 10th if you haven't already pre-ordered it smartly, like Paul has. Pretty cool stuff. I have not pre-ordered mine, but I might pick one up in November, at the very least, to do a review of it.
Yeah.
Even if I'm not a huge fan of it, it does seem interesting. So, Microsoft to release new Windows 10 hardware on October 6th. This might not appeal to many of you. I know I'm not like super excited about it, but Paul took all the good stories anyway. It's rumored that first off, Microsoft has been inviting a lot of press to this event, this big event on October 6th in New York City, where they're saying we're going to unveil some crazy Windows 10 devices, but we're kind of remaining hush-hush about it, not revealing too much yet.
According to their image here, it looks like they're going to be breaking all of the New York skyline down into binary code.
Yes, this is their version of Grid.
Yeah.
It will all be sucked up into that server right there.
This is
That's
the server.
totally a server.
Everything will be converted to binary.
That's right. Very ambitious,
exciting.
those Microsoft folks.
Very exciting.
So there are some rumors surrounding this event, however, that are pointing to the Surface Pro 4, which I think you briefly explained or mentioned the Surface Pro 3, and that kind of explains why Microsoft has recently been pushing sales and marketing for the Surface Pro 3s because people are speculating that Surface Pro 4 is just on the rise and that
trying to clear out that inventory.
Trying to clear out the inventory. The big question is whether or not these Surface Pro tablets, or whatever you want to call them, are going to be featuring Core M processors from Intel, or if they're going to be like Core i5, Core i7, full-fledged desktop CPUs, which is going to be interesting. Surface Pro 4 will also likely feature Skylake instead of Broadwell, which is, I guess, is good news, because Skylake for the win. Especially because this is, remember we were just talking about this, Intel has released all those different Skylake CPUs, many of which were mobile.
Yes.
And we're still waiting on the devices themselves to actually feature these CPUs. So I think that's a pretty fair rumor that Surface Pro 4 will feature Skylake. Additionally, the Lumia 950. Now, I wanted to also throw in a straw poll in chat. Again, this is how I spice up a boring story. What is your experience with Windows phones?
Did we show the result from the last one?
I thought we did. Will you be picking a Steam? Oh yeah, let's check out the Steam controller really quick.
Since we're looking at it right now.
We're just on fire
Steam
right now.
Controller results.
I hate it when Flux automatically.
See, why'd you put turnip in there, Kyle? Everyone always votes for turnip.
Damn it! I was gonna see.
This has such a massive political campaign behind turnip.
I was just trying to see if they were better than that. If they would rise above and rise against, but no.
Vote for turnip.
But second place is no. I'm happy with my Xbox controller. That's pretty much my vote right there.
All right, so
and yes, it looks awesome.
among the people who voted, it looks like we had about the third, maybe a little more than a third.
Yeah.
Who said they're gonna get it?
Pretty close between no and yes, actually. So
if it can replace my wireless Xbox 360 controller, that would be interesting because I'm still perfectly happy with my wireless Xbox 360 controller.
I think it'll replace it, but will it really give you that extra functionality that you want?
If I can use that,
is it worth the $50?
If I can use the Steam controller on my HTPC to like navigate Windows with the mouse,
and it works well,
mouse and keyboard, and it works well, that will be great.
Because you can't do that right now?
With the Xbox controller.
Okay.
I mean, I think there's ways to do it, but it's janky. I mean, it's like aiming in an FPS with
the controller.
With the stick. Yeah, with the controller.
Okay.
Just terrible.
All right, so Lumia 950 rumors. First off, I want to know what your guys' experience is with Windows phones. I've personally never owned one. Paul?
No. The closest I got was JJ showing me his. And JJ was really behind it. And I could see...
Wait, JJ showed you his?
Yeah, JJ
Did you show him yours?
No, didn't even reciprocate.
Okay.
It's a really one-sided thing.
Well,
he was okay with it, though.
That explains things.
But no, he was really stoked on the Windows Phone. And this was like a while... This was a good year ago.
Okay.
When they were, when it hadn't achieved its final form, I guess.
Right. Hadn't gone Super Saiyan quite then. But just some specs, some rumors, I should say, on the Lumia 950. It's going to feature a 5.2-inch display on the 950 and a 5.7-inch on the 950 XL. So just kind of like the iPhone 6 in a way. There's an iPhone 6, which is a standard size, and an iPhone 6 Plus, which is larger. I guess Microsoft is kind of going that same route with the 950 and the 950 XL, the larger version. Both will have a screen resolution, speculative, at 2560 by 1440. Smaller phone is said to have a 64-bit hexacore, Qualcomm Snapdragon 808.
Hexacore.
3 gigs of RAM, 32 gigs of internal storage, and a 3000 milliamp battery. The XL will pretty much feature all that same crap, except it'll have a faster processor, the Snapdragon 810, also a hexacore. So yeah, I personally have never really been interested in a Windows Phone. I've seen demos of it, watched plenty of videos on it, and it has never really impressed me or given me a real reason to switch over from Android. Pretty much anything I can do on my Android phone, I feel like can be done on Windows. I should say vice versa on that. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Let's check the straw poll.
All right, straw poll.
Straw poll. Straw poll.
Results.
Never owned one, never will. I like my Windows on my desktop. Aha! That's probably what I would have speculated.
Pretty straightforward.
To be the number one response.
We only have 3 people who say they have one, and it's way better than Android and iPhone. We had 15 people who said they had one and ditched it because it's way worse. But we do have a fair amount of people who are open to that prospect.
Yes,
we do. A Windows Phone coming out that got largely positive reviews could sway some people to do that.
Indeed.
Is that your last story in this segment?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Real brief, quick pause
Yes.
for two things. One is to mention something that I should have mentioned already. And that is an event that's happening on Saturday that Kyle and I are both involved in.
I am?
Yeah, on Sunday. I'm sorry, on Sunday.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yes.
You're aware of this.
I am aware of it. Sunday, yes.
So Steve, our good friend Steve, former co-worker at Newegg, Steve __ OMG is his Twitter, and he is doing Extra Life for Kids event. It is a Celebrity Rocket League tournament. It will be broadcast on the KB Mod Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/KBMod. It's on the 20th, which is this Sunday. And I believe we're starting, oh yes, it says it right here, 10 a.m. PDT, which is 1 p.m. Eastern Time, is when we'll be starting that out. Co-sponsored by Fractal, KB Mod, as well as Extra Life. And Kyle and I are going to be commentators for that.
Yes, we are.
I imagine
announcers. Sportscaster, no,
Yes.
e-casters. Is that
It'll
what
be
it's called?
vastly different from what we're doing right now.
Yeah. just dicking around.
No. If you like what we're
On
doing right
Twitch.
now, then it will be very much the same.
Yeah.
But guys, we're gonna have a good time. We're gonna stream some games. It's gonna be some Rocket League, and it's a good time. So
Indeed.
check that out. It's all for charity and stuff too.
For a good cause.
Yes, celebrity tournament. Then why are you two invited? Because we're just the announcers. We'll be talking about the celebrities. Be like, oh, Fractal Josh is here.
Hey,
He's tall.
he's looking good. I see he wore his khakis for
He
this.
did wear his khakis. He's dressed up. I see he's lining up for his.
Is that a
Rocket
360
League.
moto on his wrist?
Go.
Good God.
All right.
All right. So let's move on to the next segment. It's Build a Rig. I haven't done this segment in a while, but it just felt like it was time.
It is.
Because, well, yeah.
What's this then?
Do you have the? No. We're skipping
Oh,
these two stories because we're short on time. So
okay.
just skip down to the Build a Rig,
Build a
number 2
Rig.
on the show doc.
Is it,
Build a Rig is where I
wait,
choose
it's
a
not
theme
news
for a
anymore.
system.
Build a rig.
What's going
I'm
on?
doing the lower thirds.
Jesus
I'm
Christ.
trying to keep everything under control
Jesus,
here,
Paul.
Kyle.
Keep it together.
Actually, I need more beer.
That's
Sorry.
exactly what the show needs is more beer.
What were you saying?
So Build a Rig is where I take a kind of a use case scenario for a system, and then I piece all the components together to kind of fit that need. Today's theme for our system is the Do Anything, Go Anywhere rig. And actually,
That's a bold claim.
it is a bold claim, and it may be a little too bold because it
Okay.
really can't do everything.
Can it go into the heart of a dying star?
I don't think anything can do that, Paul. I think that's
Thor's hammer can. That's where it was forged.
That-
Mjolnir.
it's-
I can't pronounce it. Okay, sorry. What are we talking about?
All right, so basically the purpose of this build is it's actually something that I was interested in myself. Was when I start going to more events, and also when Paul starts going to more events, if I want to have a system that I'm able to bring with me that's portable enough to easily take with me on a plane or in the car if I'm driving there, I want it to be able to fit quite easily in most scenarios, but also be powerful enough to edit my 1080 videos if I'm at an event covering
It's a
stuff
Sugo.
like CES. But I also didn't want to raise the price above like $1,500, so I was kind of budget conscious in that
Well,
sense.
this one, according to the total here, costs $1,222.
Yes,
Yeah.
so I managed to keep it well below $1,500. We're at about $1,200 for this system. So you guys feel incentivized. Feel free to I don't know, build this system yourself. Maybe show me a picture of it so I know what it looks like and that it actually works together.
But how are they incentivized?
Because it's
if they're
awesome.
incentivized, you need to offer them something. You need to give them a
The system itself is incentive enough to build it.
Naked photos of Kyle.
And I'll give you one dick pic.
You will never receive naked photos of Kyle if you build this system. Otherwise,
What? No, you're discouraging them
consider yourselves incentivized.
No, that's not...
What?
What are you saying?
Just saying, you know,
That's mean.
you're right. That was kind of mean.
They all want my D.
I'm sorry, Kyle.
They all want the D, Paul.
Everyone wants to see naked
They
pictures
all
of you.
want the D. All right, so...
According to what I just said, you are now obligated to send naked pictures to everyone unless they build this.
Oh, that's totally
system anyway.
fine.
All right, cool.
They just need
Take
to
care.
find the right public photo bucket account. All right, so first off, going with the CPU, I've opted for an i7-6700K. I want this to be unlocked, overclockable. I want to squeeze as much performance as I can out of this thing. Obviously, I splurged the most with the CPU and the video card. The video card of choice I went with was a Gigabyte Radeon R9 390 with freaking 8 gigs of video RAM, which is pretty good. I could have opted for the 970, but I felt the 8 gigs of RAM was good. Was a good choice.
Okay.
Also, the Corsair H50, which is a 120 millimeter liquid cooler for your CPU, was also very befitting because I'm building in a very small, portable, small form factor case.
You've got a lot of room to work
which is the Silverstone Sugo SG13B Mini ITX Tower case. It's just a little box. It's like 10 by 7 by 8 inches. It's really small. I actually have built my own HTPC in the SG05, which is very similar to this case, and I loved it a lot. The difference between my case and this one is that this one does support, as you could see, it does support 120 millimeter or 140 millimeter liquid coolers.
Oh, I thought you were going to say graphics cards, in which case I was going to be like, see, Kyle, I'm showing them a picture of the graphics card. But no, you were talking about liquid coolers.
It's a nice try, though,
which
Paul.
is clearly demonstrated.
A noble effort.
Right there.
There you go.
Hey.
There it is. So yes, very nice there. An ASRock Fatality Z170 Gaming ITX motherboard. We were actually just looking at this on Paul's half of the show. It's a Fatality Mini ITX board. Yeah, it looks good. It's got Wi-Fi. I think Wi-Fi is important because not every hotel that you might be at during an event will have an Ethernet connector, an Ethernet port where you can hardline in. So Wi-Fi is nice to have.
It's got Ethernet too.
And it's got Ethernet too. But I'm just saying the hotel that you're in might not always support, might not have like an Ethernet.
It's nice to have both.
It's nice to have both if you're traveling. You never know if you're going to need wireless or if you're going to have the luxury of a hardline Ethernet. So I opted for that. It's about $180. Also 8 gigs of DDR4 memory. This is Z170 after all. It's a DDR4 Kingston HyperX Fury. Very nice kit of RAM, 2x4. For storage, I've opted for the Mushkin 120 gig 2.5 inch solid state drive. Mushkin, I have used Mushkin drives here and there. I find them a little bit more reliable than SanDisk, especially the really cheap ones. If you're going really budget, I'd prefer Mushkin over SanDisk.
You do?
I do. I've had a
What's that
SanDisk.
based on? I'm just curious.
I've had a SanDisk.
So you had a SanDisk
drive.
die, but not a Mushkin.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the only.
No, that's fine.
That's all.
I'll be I mean, if you've had a drive die on you, mechanical SSD or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that's what hurt OCZ so bad, actually, because they came
Right.
out of the gate so well with SSDs back in the day, and then they had the problems with the Vertex 2
Right.
that were pretty bad. Anyway, sorry.
And the SanDisk controller on their cheaper budget SSDs isn't. I've just read also that it isn't very reliable, and I have the experience, unfortunately, to back that up.
Yeah.
For storage, also you want some mechanical storage in there. You want some higher capacity for all of your video editing RAWs and maybe your games if you wanted to do some little leisure time while you're traveling.
So this is a Caviar
Blue.
Blue 1 terabyte
Yeah.
for $51-ish.
Yeah.
I will offer a suggestion here,
Yes.
a possible replacement here. For $65,
Barracuda.
the Hitachi 2 terabyte Desk Star.
Okay.
That we've discussed before.
Yes.
Crap. It was tested in the Backblaze, Backblaze. You know that they use all the. We talked about this before.
Okay.
Backblaze use a bunch of consumer drives in their data center.
Sure.
This was the drive that they're like, these have outlasted all the other drives in our testing.
Right.
It's $65 for a 2 terabyte,
Right.
and it's a good option, I think.
So
Hitachi
$15,
drives are pretty
$15
nice.
more for that guaranteed reliability. Is bad.
Just want to throw that out there. Not
Sounds
that the
good.
WD drives are terribly bad or anything like that. That's just one that
Oh yeah.
I've had a lot of people ask me
WD is
about,
definitely
actually.
reliable. But what else we got here?
I don't know.
Move down the
What do we
list. And then I think the last thing that I haven't mentioned is the Silverstone SFX power supply.
PSU.
500 watt. It is fully modular, which I like. I like to have in a small form factor build like this one. It just makes things a lot more tidy. Opens up the case for a bit more airflow if you've got some fans at the front. In this case, the only intake fan you'll have is the one off the Corsair H50 because that radiator and fan actually mounts to the very front of the case.
Okay.
When you buy the case, you'll actually notice there's no front fan like right under the mesh. It's just a mounting point for a water cooling radiator. But I think that works out pretty nice. Again, about $1,200. The go anywhere, do anything rig. There it is. It'll do anything.
Oh, whoops.
It's not going to do everything, but it's. I think I kind of made this build with myself and my needs in mind. Like if I was going to an event like CES or something, what kind of system would I want to have with me? Ultimately, like hands down, it's got to be super portable. Like I'm thinking, you know, you're in Vegas, you have to walk all the way from your car in the parking structure to the lobby, like at the concierge, and you have to walk to your hotel. It's going to be annoying to have like anything micro ATX or larger. So I don't know, that came in handy. But also, I think I can get away with editing the types of videos that I produce with this hardware, given the you know, the Skylake 6700K multi-threaded CPU.
So here's the question I would have, because back when we were at Newegg, we built the handler. If you remember,
I do.
The handler. We did bring that to a couple events. We brought it to PAX East.
Yep.
But we kind of fell off bringing it places.
Right.
And I think really what ended up happening was we just started editing on laptops. And I'll be honest, when I go to an event now, I typically bring my Asus laptop here.
Right.
And it does a pretty good job.
Yeah.
With the basic video editing. It's not the same as editing on a full desktop,
it's not
especially
at all.
if you have the monitors and everything.
Right.
But I think for mobile events, that was my biggest like drawback, was like getting the monitors there too. That's what happened on the way back from PAX East. We had a monitor packed in a suitcase, and you know, baggage handlers, they smashed the crap out of it. So we lost a monitor that way.
We should have invested in some good Pelican cases. They would have been perfectly fine.
We needed better. We were using like a just off the shelf standard suitcase with like some towels and stuff and a monitor.
It was pretty ghetto rigged.
It was pretty ghetto. But man, that was what, like 4 years ago?
I think so.
So long ago now.
I wonder what happened to the handler.
So many memories.
Ah, yes.
You know what happened to the handler? You disassembled it and you recreated you put it into your workstation at Newegg.
Oh, that's right. It became my computer.
Yeah. I don't know what happened to the handler case.
Yeah.
I think it got thrown out.
That was also Silverstone, wasn't it?
Yeah. I like that case, and they're like, there's nothing
had a handle
to be done with it.
That's
Yeah,
why
it
we
did have
call
a
it the
handle.
handler.
That was nice. 3DT, I think, from Corsair would be a nice replacement for that. Or Lian Li has one with a handle on top that also would be a good possibility.
Anyway, that wraps it up for Build a Rig.
Yay.
Thank you guys for staying tuned for that. Next up, we've got Pimp My PC, where you guys send in your entries of your, you tweet me your pictures of your rigs, and Paul and I tell you how much they're awesome and how to make them even more awesomer.
There it is. Pimp My PC.
Proper grammar right there.
How to awesomerize it.
Yeah. So, time to awesomize your systems. Greg? Starting off with Greg, we've got a, what is this? A Core i7 3770 with a GTX 680. Still a very solid card, I would say, for most purposes. 4 gigs on your 680. That makes sense. Oh, it's SLI, of course. 16 gigs of RAM, 1200 watt power supply, Asus Maximus 5. This is some good hardware still. Even though it's a few years old, it's still going to chew through most games just fine. This is an interesting system. I mean, aesthetically, I feel like there's a lot of potential here. It kind of reminds me of like Medusa with like the snakes coming out of her hair.
Yeah.
Because it just looks like they're waving like chaotically all over the place. I think it could work, but I think the some of the cable management is holding it back. I can see that your PCIe cables on that lower GPU are kind of crossing over in front of your water cooling tube, and I think that might be better served behind it, don't you think, Paul? So that it's like really that your tubing, your water cooled tubing is really at the forefront of your system, and all the cable management is kind of tossed behind that. I mean, what do you think?
Well, like, it's difficult to say. Like, all right, so first off, you got the tubing in there, and that's what initially stands out to you the most.
Yeah.
More than anything else, that's the first thing
Right.
that pops out to me. It's got the anti-kink coiling around it. If you guys have never seen that before, that's what it's meant to do. That's why all the tubing is wrapped.
Right.
With that kind of wiring that goes all around it. You're breaking a few of the kind of unspoken rules of water cooling, which is to try not to cross over your tubes over in front of each other. Granted, you can you can still do that. It's not going to stop your loop from running or anything like that.
Sure.
But you also have I'm trying to figure out where this top tube is going up here.
And where's the bottom GPU outlet? It only looks like there's one tube connected to the bottom GPU.
Oh, I'm sorry. This right here. This is a chipset heatsink. So this is going into the chipset heatsink, coming out here, going out of there and over into here, which is probably where reservoir and pump are.
But then why is there only one tube coming out of the CPU?
CPU, the loop comes from the GPU up here into the CPU, out of the CPU into the.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And then out of there up into there.
Oh, okay.
And then out of there back over into there.
Right.
Yeah.
Then where's the bottom GPU go?
Bottom GPU is the same place. They both come over here to. There's probably a pump res.
No, I'm saying like let's say you're going clockwise, I should say. Where's the other tube coming out of that GPU? It looks like there's only one.
These two have a serial connect, or these two have a connection somehow, but I can't see it. It's weird.
Huh. Interesting.
I don't know how to, they must be passing the liquid through the PCI Express bus.
Oh, I see it. I see it. There it is.
If
you look at the other picture, kind of a little bit to the left,
there's
a little connector there.
It's got a connector.
There she is.
Yeah.
That's freaking me out for
All
a
right,
second.
so this to me, like, this is a full system that's been put together and it's been in use for quite some time.
Yeah.
I don't want to say to do anything with this.
Cable management, maybe.
Cable management, maybe, but you know what you have to do in order to do your cable management in here? I mean, you could do some really minor things.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Can we do this? Can we do this on Pimp My PC? Can we say it's okay, leave it as is, and take some things into consideration for the next build? Because I mean, no, we can't.
We're not allowed to do that.
We can't do that. Okay.
That's like actually against our contract.
All right. Then cable management, yes, you could take these PCI Express cables and bring them back a little bit more. I mean,
I honestly like the wacky waving tubes everywhere.
Inflatable arm flailing tube man.
Flailing tube man.
That does look what that looks
I think
like,
that adds some character to the PC. I think it makes it unique, and I kind of like how the spiral around makes it even more crazy.
Yeah.
Kind of complements things, and I really like how you've got the red LED and you've thought out the CPU block as well. That XSPC, is it XSPC?
No, it's a SwiftTech Maelstrom.
SwiftTech. I think that is also really nice how it's got some red LEDs around it. I think it just makes it look kind of like evil and sinister, which is really unique. This is a really unique looking system, especially because of the tubes again. And I kind of like how it transforms during the daytime, because I didn't even know that the tubes were white. Or maybe the tubes are clear and they've got white liquid flowing through them. But it looks completely different during the daytime than it does at night, and I kind of like that transformative aspect of it. I also think that, I don't know what case this is. Is this fan? No, it's not fan.
He doesn't say.
Doesn't say. But honestly, I think the only thing standing out to me is that it looks like you could improve the cable management, and then it looks a little bit dusty. Maybe just that those lower fans, they look a little bit like they could use some TLC.
Oh, the SwiftTech Maelstrom is actually a reservoir. So that's his reservoir at the front. That you can,
I think that's XPSC or something like that.
Yeah.
But overall, I think just cable management. Fixed cable management, everything else looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Looks pretty solid.
Beyond that, you're looking at a full system overhaul, and I just wouldn't invest that much time into this system because, like we said, it already has kind of a cool look, and I assume it must be working fine for you.
Yeah.
And I would take what you've learned from this build and apply it to
the next one.
The build of the future.
Indeed.
I think it looks pretty sweet overall. Nice custom loop.
Cool. Thanks, Greg.
Thank you, Greg.
Next up, we've got Bastion. Bastion with 2 A's, so it's like Bastion.
What?
Bastion. He's got his CM693 windowed version. That's his case.
Indeed.
It's a Cooler Master CM Storm. Very nice. Now, taking a look at your system from the side profile, I like how you've removed the drive cages, and you've got one of your Samsung 850 EVOs at the bottom there that's mounted. I'm not sure if that's your only drive or if you've somehow tucked away another one up in the 5.25 inch bays, but I like how clean it looks. I like that wide openness for that 200 millimeter fan to
it's
just
in a very visible spot.
Blast air to your graphics card there, your MSI card. I like the beefy heatsink on your CPU cooler. I think the fan is mounted in the correct orientation. The one thing that I would say is get some black sleeved cables just to get rid of those ketchup and mustard cables, of course. The dreaded ketchup and mustard color scheme does not do it for me.
And that's weird is like the power supply looks like it has barely any cables coming out of it, right?
Yeah, I feel like maybe he unplugged some of them or
I think
they're
this
hiding.
is V750. I don't know if that's fully modular or partially modular. I think it's partially modular.
Partially
I think there's
No,
there's
it
a
looks
couple fixed cables that
Really?
are coming out towards
Yeah, I think you're right.
But it turns out to be an effect that like it looks like there's barely any cables coming out of the power supply.
It does. So I don't
So-
know how you managed to do that.
so
Well,
maybe
it's
that
probably because he's only got that one SSD.
Yeah.
And all he really has is the 24-pin,
It's a-
8 pins EPS
It's
and
a 46
PCIe.
It's a 4690K, 16 gigs of RAM. I don't know what brand. Z97 Gaming 5 motherboard from MSI.
Right.
That's
So
it is an 8 gig R9 390 GPU.
another thing that I would suggest, apart from the from getting some black sleeved extensions in this system, is to add a bit more red, because you've already got the red LED on the front-facing fan, as well as the red on the MSI graphics card, which looks really nice. I feel like there might be a bit of red lacking at the upper region, like where your memory is, or even where the rear exhaust fan is in your case.
Something in the upper left.
Something in the upper left. Check out Bitphoenix's Spectre fans. They have red LEDs on them. They look really sick, and it would match perfectly with that front-facing fan there with the red LEDs. That might actually kind of balance out the rest of your color scheme overall from left to right. But overall, very nice, and also maybe even peel off that power supply sticker now that I think about it, because the yellow on the V maybe doesn't match. I mean, it matches a little bit now with your ketchup and mustard cables, but once those are gone, and you get those sexy black sleeve extensions, I would remove that sticker just for an overall cleaner look.
Also, some paint or something on that one cable going up to the front fan kind of stands out to me there.
Yes,
This
definitely.
little guy.
Yep.
Maybe fixing that up.
Tuck that away, maybe spray paint it or something black. But thank you very much, Bastian. Next up, we've got Eric. Eric sends in his system here, which features, what do we got here? We've got another, we got an EVGA power supply,
This is an
Corsair.
8350 processor, Crosshair 5 formula motherboard, Corsair 750D case, Corsair H100i CPU cooler, 32 gigs of 1600 megahertz DDR3, a Sapphire Nitro R9 390. So this is all AMD build. SanDisk Ultra 2 480 gig by 3 RAID 0. Wow, that's an impressive RAID configuration there.
Jesus.
That's 1.5 terabytes in RAID 0.
Yep.
Blazing fast.
Yep.
Blends in here. Hope you don't have an experience like Kyle with the SanDisk SSD dying. I
Yeah,
haven't had
indeed.
that happen. I've always said, and Ultra 2s are really nice ones as well. In my humble opinion.
Yeah.
Although I haven't had a negative experience with them.
Good luck with you on that, sir. But overall, this looks like a pretty nice system. Honestly, I mean, I don't really know what to say here. It looks pretty good.
Ooh, he's even got Fractal Venturi fans down there in the bottom.
Ooh, sexy. I think if you really just wanted to like give that finishing touch, is maybe add some sleeved cables to the system. Also, you've got those two Corsair SP fans at the front where your radiator is. I would like to see a third one at the rear exhaust on the back side of your case, just to kind of complement it, you know, to kind of balance everything out again.
With the ring on it, yeah, I agree.
With the red ring,
little
just a
accent
little
there.
bit of red there, because you got red in your motherboard, you got red on the fans. It'd be nice to have a little bit more in the upper left corner, just to level things out. Remove the power supply sticker. It's upside down. It doesn't really complement anything. It's not really doing much. It looks perfectly fine without it. Probably better.
Oh, he must have. I'm looking at the Imager post, and he must have updated those SSDs at some point.
Oh yeah, I
'Cause
noticed that.
Some of the other ones have, I think, older drives. He's got a Force GT.
I just
and
remove
something
them.
else in there.
They just look like they're.
Well, no, he has. Those are the old ones. He's got SanDisk in there now.
Oh, SanDisk is the updated.
Yeah, that's got to be updated.
Gotcha.
'Cause
Okay.
they're 480 gig SSDs.
Okay,
And
yeah.
that's a Force
That's pretty solid.
GT120.
That was very thoughtful that you picked those SanDisk drives because, with the red and black, it definitely matches.
He's also spent a lot of time video or photo documenting his system over time. And look, he does. We can confirm here that he has another one of those Corsair fans with the red ring
at the
on
bottom.
it that he swapped out for fractal fans.
Oh, yeah.
I hope those are airflow and not static pressure, by the way.
The ones in the bottom.
Yeah, the AF ones would work better there.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe take that red ring one, and drop it on the back. Although it might be 120 and not.
Those are definitely static pressure, actually.
Oh yeah.
Those are definitely their high pressure fans. The Venturi ones at the bottom, you can tell by the blades.
Oh, they got the fat blades.
Yeah.
Well, they're not going to do a bad job or anything. They're just not as optimized for airflow.
Right.
Okay.
But thank you very much for that system,
Eric.
Next up, we've got
Crazy Eddie.
Crazy Eddie. I like his name.
Crazy.
He's Crazy Eddie, and he's got a crazy system for y'all.
A G3258 at 4.1 gigahertz.
Ah, nice. A budget build.
Z97S SLI Crate Edition, 12 gigs of
Love that
1866 memory, which is an interesting configuration. GTX 964 gig. RAID Max Vampire 700 and two 1 terabyte HDDs. Your memory configuration.
Yeah. First thing that stands out.
Is the first thing that stands out to me, because you have 12 gigs, which means you must have 3 4 gig sticks, or maybe 2 4 gigs and an 8 gig?
No, it only looks like there's 2 DIMM slots populated in that group of 4 there, though.
Oh, okay. So he's got a 4 and an 8 then.
I guess so.
Yeah. That's a little odd.
And especially that they're not matching. You've got HyperX and G-Skill, what looks to be. And I guess there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes it does work, but because those 2 DIMMs aren't rated to work with each other in a kit, you could run into some issues potentially. And there's a chance that you could be fine, there's a chance that you might not. But the only sure way to guarantee that they're going to be compatible with each other is to just buy one kit. And this is the same if you buy like a dual channel kit of like Kingston HyperX or whatever, and you buy another dual channel kit to fit with it. That's not necessarily going to work either. You could still run into incompatibility issues with your XMP profiles if you buy 2 separate dual channel kits and try to fit them together. The only surefire way to make sure that your quad channel kit would work is if you buy a quad channel kit. Same goes for this. This is just on a smaller scale. So it looks like maybe one of your DIMMs was corrupted. Maybe it was probably the HyperX, the white one that you had in there, and maybe it was a bad stick and you took it out. You still wanted the 8 gigs, or you wanted 12 gigs, so you put in that G-Skill one. But that's probably the first thing I would do, is replace that G-Skill red DIMM. I think it's G-Skill. I keep saying G-Skill, but I don't know if it's G-Skill.
I think that's a rip. Yeah, that's
Rip
the
Jaws.
older Rip Jaws, I think.
So replace that with another HyperX, because you've got clearly a white and black theme going here, and it looks really nice. I think that red stick is one of the few things sticking out, other than the ketchup and mustard cables in your 24-pin.
Yeah, cables are standing out. Some cable management could be good right up in here with the SATA cables and whatnot. Yeah, I mean, this is a budget system again, so leave those hard drives in there. You're clearly using them.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of the transparent blue LED fans, just in general, but if you're gonna go with blue LED, go with it. Go for it.
Yeah.
And swapping out some of the red in there might help everything else kind of blend in a little bit more.
Right.
It is a Crate Edition motherboard, so that's black and white. So if you can ditch the red,
right.
Some cables.
Yep.
And that memory DIMM.
And maybe even spray paint the red connectors on your PCIe cables coming out of your Vampire power supply.
That could work too.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool. Thank you, Crazy Eddie. Thanks for sending in that crazy system.
Next is Wesh Test.
Wesh Test.
Don't
say that 5 times fast.
Don't pay attention to the tape on the radiator, he says.
And if it wasn't for that comment, I probably wouldn't have even noticed it. But there's some tape on that radiator. It's okay. This is a pretty clean-looking system. It looks like you clean this regularly, or either that or you just built it, because I don't really see too much dust on here. It looks very clean. Unfortunately, the cable management isn't so much in that style.
Oh, that's at the bottom.
Yeah,
I was like, where the hell is there a radiator? I can't even see it.
It's right there.
Okay.
So, Yeah, I mean, cable management, it looks like what you really need here is a better case.
New case,
Just a
yeah.
slightly better case with some cable management, some routing holes, maybe some grommets to the right and below the motherboard where you can route those cables behind, because right now you just have nowhere to put them. And this is probably what my build would look like right now if I had this same case, because there really isn't many options. There aren't many options here for routing cables. So get something a little bit more substantial with more cable routing features, and I think you'll be good to go there. Also, I can tell this is definitely a budget build, but it's kind of mixed in this at the same rate, because you've got this kind of nice like Hydro Series HG10 liquid cooler on top of your graphics card that you've replaced the original cooler with. So I'm not too sure exactly. Does it say the specs anywhere here?
It's an i5 3454 gigahertz.
Okay, so it is pretty budget.
Z77A G43 motherboard. 10 gigs, another interesting memory combination. 10 gigs of 1333 megahertz DDR3 and R9 290X, which he's outfitted with that HG10 cooler from Corsair to water cool it.
Right.
And it's on a 550 watt power supply. That's impressive that Cougar power supply is able to push all that.
Yeah.
That's kind of nice. But yeah, new case.
Yeah.
Rebuild a new case. Your hardware is perfectly decent, and you should continue using it. But if you want everything to look pretty, it's not going to look pretty until you get rid of that unpainted interior.
Indeed.
Give yourself some more space to work with as far as cable management goes.
Right.
That will make a night and day difference. That will also allow you to reposition that cooler for your GPU.
Yep.
Because it's not in a bad spot now, but
it'd be better if you had if this case actually supported like a front fan where you could mount it and it would be pushing cold air right over that. But it doesn't look like it's doing much good down at the bottom of your case. So yeah, get a better case, and I think you do step one, and all the other individual steps will kind of follow.
And actually, that fan is exhausting out the bottom of the case too, which is
very
also
low.
a little weird.
Very low to the ground.
I would have it as an intake right there, honestly. Just as far as the overall airflow goes. There's also no front intake fan that I can see on the case.
That's what I was saying.
Whole, so
that's why. Just get a new case.
So you probably have negative pressure going on in here, which means if it's not dusty now, it's going to get dusty.
Roll exhaust, no intakes.
Yeah. Anyway.
Thank you for that.
New case.
Appreciate that, Wesh Test.
Thanks, Wesh Test.
Next up, we've got Hano, tomato. So he outlined this piece of his system for us and said you can only see this much. The rest is covered by the side panel. But here on PIMP My PC, we don't just look at the part that's visible through the side panel. We look at everything.
I want to click on this
because it's all about taking pride in your
right
system. Even if people can't see it, you still know what it looks like inside. So it looks like you've got a Define R4 or a Define R5. No, that's a Define R4 for sure. You can always tell from the feet.
Oh yeah.
And it looks like you've got a really strong red and black and white color scheme going here because of the white accents on the Define R4, which I really like. I am actually not even really that opposed to having the red PCIe cables versus the 24-pin, the black 24-pin cable. I think that kind of works. Kind of gives it some kind of a style. I'm not too sure about this fan here that's right in front of your drive cage. That's kind of angled but not really mounted to anything. It just kind of looks like it's leaning against the drive cage. I'm not sure if that's really secure or if you found a proper way to mount that. It might just be resting there. But I think this case might have a fan. I'm pretty sure it does have a fan mount at the bottom, which you could mount a 120.
Yeah, so just having that pointing straight up would probably be more effective there at drawing in fresh air from outside of the case.
Right. And
it would look a little bit less awkward, even though that's not really very visible with the side window.
Right.
Yeah, he says this is a Hackintosh actually. He's using an old Apple iMac 802.11 AC Wi-Fi card in conjunction with a mini PCIe to full-size PCIe adapter, which is kind of cool. I like that you took not a very common piece in there and integrated it to work with the Hackintosh.
Right. And it makes sense that he's using a Gigabyte motherboard and video card, because I've heard that Gigabyte actually makes very Hackintosh-friendly components.
Yes, I do.
So
he's also saying he's also apologizing for the one blast of color in here. Sorry for the green, blue, yellow cable fan. That's this one right here. You see it?
Yes, I do.
And he said that the fan that's blowing at the GPU is his old CPU fan. And that's where the only color comes from.
I would probably just get maybe another fan to match that rear one. I think it looks like a Corsair, possibly.
Oh, it's a Dark Knight.
Yeah, the
it's
CPU cooler.
Dark Knight.
I really like that.
I wish you could still just buy those.
The Xigmatech?
Yeah.
Yeah, those were great.
What is it with, like, I don't understand what the issue is with, like, I want a $40-ish CPU air cooler.
Matte black.
That's
Matte
just
black.
all black.
Not glossy.
Like this, we
Not
did
glossy.
we did this, the ETST40 from
I've got it right there.
Max.
Yeah.
Which does a great job, but you can't buy it anymore. Like, they discontinued it, and it's got a blue LED fan on it, which you
They
can
have
swap
their
out.
T40 version 2s coming out soon.
Oh, really?
Remember we did an article on that? How it was against the coffee pot?
Oh, the coffee pot. That's
Yeah.
what that was.
Yeah, it's the 2.0 version
Well,
of that.
usually they have some overlap. These have just been gone.
Yeah. Hopefully they're coming
okay,
back
sorry.
soon. But I completely agree with you, Paul. Black freaking heat sinks on CPU coolers need to be a thing. Be Quiet does some decent ones.
They do.
Some very nice ones, actually. But overall, very nice system here. Hano, thank you very much for sending that in.
Thanks.
Make those few adjustments.
Thanks for the Imager link with all the pictures.
Imgur.
Imager.
And last but not least, we've got Randy. Let's check out what he's got to offer here.
Sabertooth 990FX 2.0, AMD 8320
Right.
CPU overclocked to 4.3 gigahertz, 16 gigs of HyperX Beast
Let's go.
DDR3.
So if you scroll to...
You got the wide shot here. He's got some amps down here. Must be a musician.
Nice little setup there.
Is that a Confederate flag?
What?
Might be a Confederate flag.
For the Union.
It's okay.
Okay.
Okay. Here's a Cooler Master Neptune. I think that's a Neptune.
Yes.
Cooler.
Neptune
Asus Strix
240.
graphics card 990FX. This is the Razer Edition case.
H440.
Uh,
NZXT.
I have a feeling like you must be losing some performance here due to that Corona Extra that's sitting next to the computer. That's probably drawing.
It's probably why your CPU's throttling.
It's probably sucking a lot of the power
Right.
and value and general goodness
Yeah,
out of that computer.
I was about to give the system a 10 out of 10 before I saw the Corona
and
bottle.
then it's actually taking all of that frequency and stuff that's in there, and it's turning it into Corona Extra, which is basically like urine.
If there's anything you never want extra of, it's Corona.
Yeah, that's true. I don't even know why they would put those two words together, the Corona and Extra, like.
They're all about oxymorons there.
Yeah,
Those
apparently.
folks at Corona.
That's it. All right, so first thing you need to do here, stop drinking Corona. You need to take that bottle, smash the bottle somewhere.
And then your computer's perfect.
Your computer will perform much better. You'll probably be able to get some higher speed overclocks.
Girls will
It's
want
really,
you once you stop drinking
yeah,
Corona.
That's really what I think will happen there.
The ladies will...
Yeah, that'd be my
all upons.
my main advice here would be to get rid of the Corona. I think that'll improve things. It's a nice little setup there. It looks like a
Josh said,
basement
"Hey, people like what they like. If you dig Corona, drink it."
Well,
Such a man of the people. That Josh. Josh for Prez, everyone.
he's so open-minded.
Oh, we love you, Josh. I'd never vote for you, though. That's for sure.
Well, it depends on what office he's running for.
If I was an anarchist, vote for Josh.
If it was like a comptroller or something like that.
If I wanted robot sex to be approved, I'd vote for Josh.
That's when you vote for Josh.
Yes.
Okay.
On that note,
What's next?
I think that pretty much wraps it up for Pimp My PC, Paul. So on to
Yay.
our last segment of the night before we close out and move on to the much
Do
anticipated
we have another segment?
after party. We do have
yeah,
Q&A.
after party. Oh, we have Q&A.
So if you guys have any questions, we might have some answers.
Hold on.
We might not. We might not be able to answer your questions
Yeah,
at all.
we're
We
gonna
might be
try
like,
to
I
answer.
don't know how to really answer that. But there's a good chance we might. So go ahead and ask us in chat here on twitch.tv, or you can ask us on our respective Twitter accounts.
Look, we have a question right off the bat.
I got both of them open.
AS
Got
Pulse
Windows.
99 asks, do you like Digital Storm?
I don't have much experience with them.
Here's
Not
what
to
I'll
say.
say about Digital Storm. They make amazing systems.
They're expensive.
They can be expensive. I mean, if you're paying a boutique builder to make you a system, it's going to cost a little bit more. But usually, you can't make money as a boutique builder unless you put like when you get these systems, like you can tell. You can tell like there's some love and some time and investment that went into that.
Right.
I've like for me, a nice boutique system is like I compare it to when I go out to a restaurant and they have like a nice steak or ribs on the menu, because those are two things I really enjoy, but I also know how to make both of those things myself.
Wait, how do we start talking about ribs?
I just taught. I did that. I'm drawing a parallel here.
Oh, okay.
So when I look at the boutique builder systems, I'm like, that's really nice. I look at it like a nice steak or a nice rack of ribs. I'm like, I could eat that. That would be really good.
But I could also do that myself.
I could also build it myself and for less money.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't have much experience with them.
And you would take a greater sense of pride knowing that you built it yourself.
Yeah. But not everyone likes to build their own systems. Not everyone's into the tinkering thing and everything. So if you want a gaming system and you want it to be really nice and you want support, because that's another thing that the boutique builders are really good at. You hit them up with anything, at least the good ones, the ones that have good reviews. They will help you till they're blue in the face,
right,
and fix your problem for you. So that's really, I think, what the benefit is of going with something like that is going to be the support you get, and you get a nice quality build at the same time. It's never something that I've spent too much time on looking at, because, like I said, I mean, I can do roughly the same thing myself,
right,
at home, and I like doing it myself. So it's not something that I would necessarily pay to have somebody else do.
Exactly.
Okay.
Completely agree. 89 Kudakors asks, how did you guys get into computer hardware? I got a job at Newegg, and then my life was changed. You?
I got into computer hardware when I was about 13 or 14, and my dad was like, we should have a computer. No, prior to that, we had a Commodore 64, and my dad had a console, or like a workstation that I would dial in and do some BBS stuff with, like really minimal. I don't know that much about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I started with that, and then when I was 13 or 14, my dad was like, we should get a computer. We were like, okay. We went out and got an HP machine. It was like a 46DX, I think, was the CPU it had in it. And after we had used it for a little while, and I used it for a few school projects and stuff, and I was like, I found out that like adding more memory was something you could do. So I like bought some memory on eBay, and they sent me the wrong type, and then I got the right type, and then I upgraded the memory, and after that I was just hooked after that. So yeah, that's kind of how that came about.
Nice.
Wait, there was a question here that was pretty valid. It was a good question.
Yeah, I found a good one too.
It went away. Four Face Plants later says R9 384 gig or GTX 964 gig. I would actually go for the R9 380 in that comparison. I think it's got more raw horsepower.
Yeah, I'll go with that. What do you think, Rogue Roger Zero? What do you think of the Athlon 860K? Interesting that you bring that up, because I've only used that CPU once, and it was in a recent build that I did for my console overkiller system, which actually performed quite well with the Athlon 860K. It actually, I actually hit the benchmarks right here on my YouTube video. It got 46 frames per second on GTA 5, and this was paired with a 280.
Oh.
An R9 280. So definitely you will run into some bottlenecking with really CPU-intensive games like GTA 4 that utilizes multiple cores and even hyper-threading in some instances. But overall, it's an extremely good bang-for-the-buck CPU if you're on a tight budget. If you're looking for raw performance and you have a little bit of extra spending money, then probably opt for something like a Core i5, I would say. But if you're on a really cheap budget, you're going for something like a console killer, maintaining that $500 price point, then it's definitely a good choice. I would highly recommend it, and I still occasionally game on that console killer that's on my wall right now, and have had no problems as of yet. So
cool.
Yep.
JHop03 asks, what's the best GPU that doesn't require a power connector? 750 Ti, I think, is still a go-to in my opinion. That's still part of Nvidia's product stack that was not replaced by the 950.
Does it not? Some of them do, though.
Some of them do, but the
default,
the default
reference
spec does not require a power connector, and that's
right.
It's a juicy card for not
Oh
requiring.
yeah, good for
PCIe.
1080. Good for 1080 at medium to high settings.
We had a couple people ask, what did we major in college, or what kind of schooling did we do to get where we are? I was not a good college student. It was back in my younger and less responsible days. I studied actually film or cinema television in college.
Yeah.
I found that
Somewhat appropriate for what we do now.
It's somewhat appropriate for what we do now in video production, all that kind of thing. I found that it paired nicely with my hobby of building computers, because rather than going in and using like the labs they had at school to like edit videos and stuff like that, I was like, I'm just going to edit at home on my computer that I have that is perfectly capable of handling video editing. So that was kind of nice. But yeah, really, I think for what both of us do now, it wasn't so much the schooling that we did. Well, I mean, it kind of was for video production.
Yeah.
Yeah, that helped.
Yeah.
For the area of the market or whatever that we're in now, had a lot to do with our prior jobs. So working in the industry is definitely a great way to meet people and make connections and kind of build up your core.
And I personally studied multimedia. My major in college was multimedia production management. So kind of a mouthful there.
Sounds boring.
But it was cool at first. I wanted to do web design when I first went to college. I was like, I'm gonna design websites. I think that'd be cool. Make a sick looking website.
Oh yeah.
Which would have come in really handy now, because I wouldn't have my website probably wouldn't be down at the moment. But I ended up not liking web design at all, and I was like, this is horrible. I don't like this. And I got into editing. Strangely enough, I was like, I really like editing. I get to stay in a cold, cool, dark room at all hours. I have very limited human interaction.
Yeah, it's nice.
For the introvert I am, it was really a good situation. And then I got the job at Newegg about a year after I graduated from college as an editor, mind you. And I ended up doing some on-camera stuff with Paul. And I was like, I like this too. Hey. And then one thing led to another, and here we are.
So Selmore in Twitch chat asks, are they checking Twitter questions? So I went over to Twitter, and Selmore on Twitter asks, what's your favorite aftermarket GTX 980 Ti? Good question.
I only really have experience with the Zotac one that I have right here.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic. It stays super cool. It's like at least 17 degrees cooler than the reference model. And it's honestly ridiculously quiet. I think Zotac's been stepping it up lately in their GPU department.
I think so too.
I'm not the biggest fan of the aesthetics. I think like the Asus Strix looks like boatloads better than this one.
I told them I don't like the backplate.
And the backplate is not my
design.
favorite, but as far as like pure functionality, this is a great card. And like I said, I haven't really checked out any of the other AIB 980 Ti's, but this one from Zotac is freaking killer. I still don't know what to do with it. It's sad. It's just sitting on my. It was just there. It's not even like in use. What do I do with it?
Don't tell people that. They'll tell you to give it away or something like that.
I know. You're right.
No, you wait until you have another graphics card and you're like, I need to compare this to a GTX 980 Ti. And
you're right.
Like, thank God I have one right there, and I don't have to somehow take one out of my water-cooled system. That's
Absolutely.
what it's for.
Oh God, that would be horrible.
Do that. Yes, I've seen a few of the 980 Ti's aftermarket ones.
Yeah.
I know MSI just launched their Lightning one, which is supposed to be pretty badass. I've only like held it briefly. I haven't gotten to like plug it in and test it or anything like that.
Right.
Gigabyte I know has a nice one. They've continued what they did with the 980, and they've got this massive like just with like 3 pounds of copper in it or something like that, which is always nice for heat dissipation.
Right.
I know the Asus Strix has gotten many positive reviews, although again that's one that I haven't worked with. That's one thing I miss about working at Newegg for sure, is being able to physically pick up and hold so many of the different pieces of hardware that come through there.
Absolutely. It's like a portal of goodness.
Sean, our IXI Legendary, asks, what do you guys think of the Asus MG279Q, which is the new Asus 144 Hz. This is new, right? Wait, is this new? Oh yeah. This is the this is the FreeSync one. Okay.
144 hertz FreeSync.
It's 27-inch, 144 hertz IPS
1440.
FreeSync, 2560 by 1440. Asus also just recently launched another so they have this one that's 27-inch. They have their 27-inch G-Sync one that's a TN panel. They just also launched a 27-inch G-Sync IPS panel.
Right.
So this one would be the one to go with if you like this and you want a...
If you favor color accuracy over response time, then go with this IPS panel, for sure. Assuming you have Radeon graphics.
Oh, yeah, assuming you have Radeon.
That support FreeSync.
Yeah.
144 hertz, you can't go wrong there. You also have to check, though, just because it's at 144 hertz, that if you're going with a FreeSync panel, you have to find out what the minimum the minimum parameter is for their refresh rate window. So is it 50 to 144 hertz, or is it like 30 to 144 hertz? The lower the better, because as soon as you dip below that, you can get this random flickering effect that can really take you out of the game. So, but ultimately, this is a really good price for this monitor. It's IPS and it's under $600 for free sync
right now.
Yeah, on Newegg at least. 1440. Shit, I might get this. No, I can't. I have two 980 Ti's. I can't get a free sync
for
panel.
that much money. For that much money, I get the Wasabi Mango.
Wasabi Mango.
Okay, I think I have one more question here. It's a good question. It should be the last question because we're just about out of time.
All right.
And this is a good question for both of us. Roberto P. or Dude Wazap on Twitter asks, "What is the most important thing to focus on when starting a YouTube channel? Camera gear, editing, lighting, contents?" ? And I think this isn't an easy question to answer. There's a few different answers to give. I think. So, all right. On the technical side, I think you need a baseline of production equipment. And I'm not saying you need to go crazy and buy thousands of dollars worth of stuff, but you need some lights. You need at least a camera that can shoot 1080 and that can go into manual mode, so you can control the exposure and stuff like that,
Right.
and make sure you can focus and get things sharp enough. So you're gonna need that, because that's the expectation. And if people immediately watch a video, the first thing that they see is that you have, yellow room lighting that you haven't adjusted for, and that it's out of focus and whatever. Like, people aren't gonna watch it. There's a basic level of expectation, which right now I think is 1080. You gotta have a light, and you gotta be able to keep yourself in focused and reasonably well framed. If you get that stuff down, and really getting the basics down for that are pretty simple. Beyond that, I think you should focus on two things. One is going to be content that you personally yourself find enjoyable and engaging.
Yeah.
And two is going to be to concentrate on your YouTube channel as you would something that you do in your free time for fun and enjoyment.
Yeah.
Because if you're approaching a YouTube channel, especially if you're starting out from ground zero and you're like, I'm going to do this as my job, just don't.
Right.
The only reason Kyle and I are where we are is because we started out working a job doing a YouTube channel for quite some time. We were able to get a lot of exposure that way. We were able to make a lot of contacts in the industry, and that kind of helped us springboard to the point where we are now. Unless you have some magical juju within yourself that you'll probably be fine with anyway, and what I say doesn't matter. Like, you need to be able to create videos consistently, have a good time doing it, and not like stress yourself out over like, oh, I need to finish this or whatever. Like, it needs to be something that you approach with, like, and you're excited about and you have fun with.
Yeah.
If you do that and you can just make videos that you find enjoyable, share them with your friends, then I think from there you can kind of start building up an audience.
Yeah. I think also it's really hard when you're in the position where you need to make a living, but at the same time it's so hard to do that when you're starting a YouTube channel from scratch.
Yeah.
Like, so what I would suggest is just get a daytime job. Just get a regular 9 to 5 job and do YouTube on the side. Start it as a hobby. And that's going to immediately tell you if it's something you're into or not. Because it might sound like a great idea, and the end pipe dream might sound good, the end result of having millions of subscribers and working from home and all that, but you might end up hating it. You never know. So do it as a side hobby at first while you're actually paying bills with your regular daytime job. And if you really end up liking it, then it's going to become a passion of yours, and you're going to take off, you're going to devote more time to it, you're going to consider more options. And if it gets to the point where you know that it's just what you want to do permanently, then just work harder at it and make that a priority almost over your daytime job. Because the daytime job's great just for paying the bills, right? But you don't necessarily have to be passionate about your daytime job. You can be passionate about the hobby that you're working on the side, right? And eventually, at some point, your hobby will start to take over the priority in your life over your daytime job. And when that happens and you actually can see a future, and you're like, hey, I can actually probably make this a thing, just like how Paul and I eventually like saw our own personal channels and saw like the opportunity there. Like, I really like doing this. I want to do this full time, and I think that I'm dedicated enough to do it and succeed. When that point comes, quit your day job and continue paying bills with your full-time now your hardcore passion job of making YouTube videos, because ultimately you're never going to succeed making a YouTube channel unless you're completely dedicated to it full time. the same time, like I said, you need to pay bills. So daytime job, do YouTube simultaneously. If your YouTube channel starts to outgrow the success of your daytime job, then quit your daytime job and start YouTube. I mean, I'm speaking from 100% complete experience. There's probably a million other ways to do it, but that's the way I did it. I know that's the way Paul did it in some respects.
Yes.
And no looking back, man. If you're passionate about it, go for it. That's what I say.
Good advice.
And on that note,
Okay.
I think that's going to wrap it up for today's episode. But before you guys go, before you leave chat, we do have a special after party planned. Paul is actually going to be staying behind. He's not going to be running away from me as soon as we cut the stream. He's going to be staying here at my place.
I'll be right behind you,
We're going to be doing a local co-op after party where Paul and I will be physically, for the first time ever. This is unprecedented,
We'll
Paul.
be in the same room
We'll be in the
together.
same freaking room playing the same game.
This has never happened before.
It really has never happened. Never. It was like Bandcamp status. We will be playing Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time. That's the name of this game. It's an amazing, excellent indie game that's a local co-op, like I said. It's a platformer. I'm sure many of you guys have heard of it. It just launched like a week or two ago. I've been playing it with my wife, actually, quite recently, and we've been just loving it, absolutely loving it. We're probably about 6 or 7 hours in, and she's not a huge gamer personally, but she really likes this game a lot. And me being a more serious gamer than her, I still really like it as well. It's not super casual, but it's not too hardcore either. So guys, stay tuned for that. We're going to be trying to set that up in just about, I don't know, maybe an hour to an hour and a half, maybe even sooner. It depends on how quickly we can eat our dinner and when dinner will be served.
We're going to eat while we play.
We could eat while we play, so hopefully we can be up within the next half hour to an hour. I'll say that, just to give us a little bit of a buffer.
Sounds
but
reasonable.
that's generally a little bit sooner than we usually do our after parties, but stay tuned for that. It's going to be happening really soon, and thank you guys so much for joining us live. If you're not joining us live, be sure to catch us next Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. Pacific Time, twitch.tv/awesomehardware, and I love all of you. We'll see you in a bit. Thank y'all, and good night. And good night. If you can't join us, good night.
Thank you for
If you
watching.
can, we'll see you in a bit. Love you. Goodbye. Bye.
Just waiting for you to finish.
I'm done. Just
Good
cut me
time.
off. Cut me
Okay.
off.